As Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta officially opened the Africa, Caribbean, Pacific and European Union Assembly in Nairobi, he called for the African peacekeeping mission in Somalia to be more effective.
More can be achieved also if the African Union mission to Somalia becomes even more effective. The region and the world's fight against Al-Shabab in Somalia is one of the front lines between stability and chaotic insecurity.
But the peacekeeping force drawn from countries like Uganda, Kenya, Burundi and Ethiopia is currently facing logistical challenges after the European Union announced a 20% cut in funding the mission early this year. The reduction mainly affected soldiers whose monthly allowances were reduced by $200 from $1,028 to $828. Early this month, the Uganda People's Defense Forces UPDF deployed 2,745 new soldiers in Somalia to replace an equal number of fighters who were recalled from the battlefield after serving for 1 year. The mission has also seen massive reduction of boots on the ground, with the multiple withdrawals of Ethiopian National Defense Force unit from strategic towns in central Somalia in October this year. These towns have since been taken over by the Al-Shabab. Kenyatta says unless the EU reconsiders its position on funding to AMISOM, the Al-Shabab, that has previously claimed responsibility for attacks in both Kenya and Uganda, will continue to undermine investment and governance in the region.
I urge European parliamentarians present to push for the change that we want to see by insisting on bolder investment in security in the Horn of Africa and into AMISOM, as well as other peacekeeping forces across the African continent.
Kenyatta also challenged SCP EU Assembly to come up with practical solutions to the problems affecting citizens in their respective countries. The Assembly draws 79 countries from Africa, Caribbean and Pacific regions, and 27 from the European Union.
Your discussions should be practical enough and easy to implement in a timely fashion, but bold enough to make a real change in the lives of our people.
So the discussions that we have here are not binding on anybody, but they give guidance on the general trends and help us focus more on the specific problems that are now shared by other communities, shared by the world, ACP and the European Union.
As the SCP EU Assembly enters its last 2 days here in Nairobi, discussions are still going on the ever-growing population in Africa and how it can be utilized to spark growth and development. On the last day, on Wednesday, the Assembly will discuss the touchy issue of the presidential term limits and whether they can be reinstated in their respective constitutions. Habad Ziwa, NTV here in Nairobi, Kenya.